Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. This video is on Eliphas Levi, great modern transcendentalist. An excerpt from The All-Seeing Eye by Manly P. Hall, Volume 3, Number 20, Wednesday, April the 6th, 1927. Eliphas Levi, great modern transcendentalist. Eliphas Levi Zahed is the Qabbalistic appellation used by Alphonse Louis Constant, the greatest of all modern transcendentalists, and is supposed to be the Hebrew equivalent of his actual name. Eliphas Levi was probably born about 110, but the exact date is unknown. Little if anything can be discovered concerning his early life, other than the meager offering which appears in the preface to Transcendental Magic. Author Edward Waite, who translated the writings of this great French magus into English, apparently spent considerable time trying to secure satisfactory information concerning Eliphas Levi, but his biographical preface, which represents the fruitage of his labor, is not entirely satisfactory. Author Edward Waite declares Eliphas Levi to have been the son of a shoemaker. The youth must have shown remarkable mental ability during his childhood, for he was educated for the priesthood without any cost to himself or family. In his theological studies, he demonstrated extreme brilliancy, acquiring a profound knowledge of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. He took minor orders and became a deacon. He was later appointed professor in the Petit Séminaire de Paris. For reasons unknown, he was suddenly expelled from the Roman Catholic Church, apparently from the result of heretical statements and beliefs. Some say that he preached a doctrine which was opposed to the constitution of the church. After being expelled from the cloister, Abbé Constant, totally unfitted by his education for secular pursuits, became concerned in politics and associated himself with several champions of popular library. He married, but later the marriage was annulled on the ground that, having accepted the vows of celibacy, he could not break those vows. He wrote several documents, one of which secured for him 6 months in prison. Many of his writings were published anonymously. Eliphas Levi died in 1875, having received the last offices of the church. He left behind him a vast number of manuscripts. According to author Edward Waite, Baron Spadoliate alone possessed 9 volumes of his letters. It may be safely said that Eliphas Levi was the greatest Qabbalist of modern times, and his experiments in the mysteries of transcendental magic have won for him world renown. The greatest of all his writings, which title appears on your screen, was first translated into English under the title of Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual. But the translation has not accurately preserved the spirit of the original. Madame Blavatasky often refers to Eliphas Levi in The Secret Doctrine and Isis Unveiled, giving ample credit to this great French magician. Albert Pike has republished whole pages of Eliphas Levi's writings in his great Masonic compendium, Morals and Dogma of the Scottish Rite. There has been much speculation concerning the source of Eliphas Levi's occultic knowledge. It is particularly certain that he did not work out the principles himself, but was initiated into some group of occultists, probably Rosicrucians or Qabbalists, who were active in France during the first half of the 19th century. Having reached a certain degree in the secret order, Eliphas Levi wrote Transcendental Magic, a volume which, according to some, cost him his membership in the secret order, or at least prevented his advancement into the higher grades of it. Whatever effect the writing of Transcendental Magic may have had, the effect was not pleasing to Eliphas Levi, who published a number of succeeding volumes in an effort to repair the indiscretion of publishing the first one. Much of the material in later works is of a misleading nature and is very evidently intended to confuse the mind of the reader and cover up the important statements made in Transcendental Magic. His works have been very severely criticized by those unsympathetic with the doctrines which he affirmed, but the highest disciples and initiates who have passed judgment upon them declared Transcendental Magic to contain more philosophical knowledge concerning the inner mysteries of nature than any other single volume ever published. The work must be read, however, with rare discrimination, for it contains a number of misleading statements and apparent ambiguities purposely placed as veils, that the inner secret may not be revealed. We cannot do better in an effort to sum up his philosophy and doctrine than to quote the first paragraph of his introduction in the doctrine of Transcendental Magic. Behind the veil of all the hieratic and mystical allegories of ancient doctrines, behind the darkness and strange ordeals of all initiations, under the seal of all sacred writings, in the ruin of Nineveh or Thebes, on the crumbling stones of the old temples, and on the blackened visage of the Assyrian or the Egyptian Sphinx, in the monstrous or marvelous paintings which interpreted to the faithful of India the inspired pages of the Vedas, in the cryptic emblems of our old books on alchemy, in the ceremonies practiced at reception by all secret societies. There are found indications of a doctrine which is everywhere the same and everywhere carefully concealed. Occult philosophy seems to have been the nurse or godmother of all intellectual forces, the key of all divine obscurities, and the absolute queen of society in those ages when it was reserved exclusively for the education of priests and of kings. It reigned in Persia with the Magi, who perished in the end, as perish all masters of the world, because they abused their power. It endowed India with the most wonderful traditions and with an incredible wealth of palsy, grace and terror in its emblems. It civilized Greece to the music of the lyre of Orpheus. It concealed the principles of all sciences, all progress of the human mind in the daring calculations of Pythagoras. Fable abounded in its miracles, and history, attempting to estimate this unknown power, became confused with fable. It undermined or consolidated empires by its oracles, caused tyrants to tremble on their thrones, and governed all minds, either by curiosity or by fear. For this science, said the crowd, there is nothing impossible. It commands the elements, knows the language of the stars, and directs the planetary courses. When it speaks, the moon falls blood red from heaven. The dead rise in their graves, and muttering ominous words as the night wind blows through their skulls. Mistress of love or of hate, occult science can dispense paradise of hell at its pleasure to human hearts. It disposes of all forms and confers beauty or ugliness. With the wand of Circe, it changes men into brutes and animals alternatively into men. It disposes even of life and death, can confer wealth on its adepts by the transmutation of metals, and immortality by its quintessence or elixir, compounded of gold and light. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating a small amount to Wars of the Rosies through PayPal or Patreon. The links are in the description below. Thank you very much.